This is the first story we got. It's an interesting and weird story from Politico. Gohmert suit may force Pence's hand in effort to overturn Trump's defeat. The vice president is set to oversee certification of Biden's electoral college win. Man, I've been reading a lot about the powers that Mike Pence has. And of course, you've got Trump supporters saying Mike Pence is basically the judge with the gavel and he decides. But then you've got the left saying he's basically just like the clerk handing out, tickets. You hand him the envelopes and he goes to the mailroom and he just passes out the things to the office. But let's read and see what's going on. They say Rep. Louis Gohmert, Republican of Texas, and President Donald Trump's defeated electors from Arizona may force Vice President Mike Pence to publicly pick a side in Trump's bid to overturn his election loss. Gohmert and a handful of would-be electors sued Pence in federal court on Monday in a long-shot bid to throw out the rules that govern Congress's counting of electoral votes next week. It's an effort they hope will permit Pence, who is tasked with leading the January 6th session of the House and Senate, to simply ignore President-elect Joe Biden's electors and count Trump's losing slates instead. The lawsuit asserts that the 1887 law, known as the Electoral Count Act, the vague statute that has long governed the electoral vote counting process with minimal drama, unconstitutionally binds Pence from exercising total authority to choose which votes to count, saying, quote, under the 12th Amendment, defendant Pence alone has the exclusive authority and sole discretion to open and permit the counting of the electoral votes for a given state. And where there are competing slates of electors, or where there is objection to any single slate of electors, to determine which electors' votes or whether none shall be counted, the suit contends. The lawsuit comes before Judge Jeremy Kernodle, a Trump appointee to the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of Texas. It's unclear if he'll grant the request for an expedited judgment. Though the law itself is unlikely to gain legal traction, it does put Pence in the position of having to either contest the suit, putting on the opposite side of the Trump and the GOP defenders, or support it and lay bare the intention to subvert the will of the voters in the 2020 election. They say Pence is engaged with GOP lawmakers seeking to reverse the election results, but has avoided publicly taking a side in the matter. I think that's actually not true. I don't know if you guys saw Pence's speech where he said, we're not going to stop fighting until every legal vote is counted and every illegal vote, is not counted. I think Mike Pence is leaning towards, at least in a public sense, I'm going to support Trump. But I got to tell you, man, here's my bet. January 6th comes around. I don't know. You guys all probably know they did that. The electoral candidates for the Republicans cast their procedural votes. I bet Mike Pence is going to be like, Joe Biden wins, bang the hammer, and we're done.
That is probably likely, to be completely honest. Look, yeah. They're flailing right now, and it's like you're either with us or you're against us. I mean, we've been dealing with this over at Blaze, and it doesn't stop just at the Glenn Beck level. It goes all the way up to Mike Pence, where they won allegiance, and the line's being drawn in the sand. So either you with us or you against us, and that's more so what it is. And to be fair, when we talk about this whole, not just with this election, really courts in general, it's all posturing to really force the hand of folks, to really force them to take a side publicly or not, because generally it's just going to fall dead anyway. So, and they know that they're not stupid. It's a matter of, like you kind of mentioned, it's like it's a matter of forcing him publicly to take a stance. But that's been the approach, really, and they're getting more and more aggressive in this. Like we want to know who's with us. Are you with us? Are you not?
They ignore one thing in this Politico article. Pence could just ignore it.
Yeah.
And it goes to court, and they make a ruling, and Pence just goes, I think he's traditional. He's very much more establishment.
Well, if you look at Pence and Trump, especially after Election Day, you see Pence always sticking more to the establishment. You could see him contradict Donald Trump in many instances, not just regarding this issue, but also the vaccine issue. Specifically, Donald Trump even getting rid of a directive saying that the top White House staff was going to be vaccinated. He got rid of that. And Mike Pence was the only one who went out on national television and said, I'm going to get, vaccinated. So that was a clear differential of opinions. And we've seen them on both sides of the issues a lot of different times.
This is why I think they're doing the lawsuit, because there was another story. Apparently, in a bunch of the emails Trump was sending out, it no longer says Trump Pence. It just says Trump. Yeah. So leftists were like, Pence is out. And this was a couple weeks ago. So I think this is why you've got some Republicans saying Mike Pence, because they want to know now. But Pence was at that meeting at the White House when I think it was Pennsylvania's electors showed up and had a meeting with Trump. And apparently they're like hardcore in it for Trump. A bunch of different states have been like demanding the governors give special sessions for their state Congress or whatever, General Assemblies, so that they can officially certify electors for Trump. Yeah.
Like, look, this, I think it's going to ramp up. I mean, we talk about the 6th, but I think it's going to go really further than that. The GOP right now it may be blowing up. Like, it sounds silly to say that, but seriously, like, it may be blowing up. And whether you think that's on Trump or his supporters, that's neither here nor there. Right now, you're seeing lines in the sand be drawn. And a lot of folks don't want to go down with that ship, especially the establishment types, because they look at it as it's not necessarily the whole threat to the democracy. Government, especially at the federal level, has its way of going about things, right? And it's been done this way for a very long time, and they want it to remain as such. And of course, Trump is kind of the nuke in that, where he kind of blows things up. And a lot of folks don't. Yeah, it's cool to support him. Everybody was on the same page with him for the last 4 years, but then they see it going this route, definitely post election, or post, let's say, November. And a lot of folks don't want to go down with that ship. So you're going to see them kind of be shaky about definitely these big uber public GOPers. They're not going to be like all in like that. They kind of got to teeter-totter, if you will.
Well, the battle lines are drawn, and people are making their decisions, and you could see it with major establishment figures like Rupert Murdoch, especially with his news publications, where he stands and where some of the Trumpers and never-Trumpers stand. And it's a big fragmentation of the whole GOP party that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, check this out. We got this. The New York Post cover says, "Stop, Mr. President, stop the insanity. You lost the election. Here's how to save your legacy." Trump supporters don't care about that.
Not at all.
Trump supporters are willing to support news outlets that support them. And then as soon as you say, okay, now here's where we push back, they say, get out. We don't care. If you don't got our back anymore, we're done with you.
I think they underestimate how many people support the man for the man. Like, their allegiance isn't to the GOP. Their allegiance is to him. And I think a lot of people underestimate that. So, we're going to see what happens. But the line's been drawn, and it's been interesting to see how, I think, after the initial election, like, we were covering this over at the Blaze, the election, everybody kind of had their way of going about things. And I know the further we got away from it, the more folks are like, okay, maybe it's an L that we just have to hold. I don't know if it's rather about saving face, or again, it's a certain way that things have been done, the establishment, or whatever you want to call them. Whether you think Trump is a part of it, I don't know. I really don't care. Nonetheless, that there is a fight being had right now. Yeah. And I think it's a lot bigger than what people are talking about.
And I think both sides are not doing themselves any favors. I mean, you got the establishment side, and you literally have the cybersecurity chief coming out and saying one day that we had the most secure election in American history. And then a couple days later, finding out the entire government was hacked.
The worst, the cyber digital Pearl Harbor.
The digital Pearl Harbor. I mean, come on, how does that make sense? There hasn't been a mainstream media journalist that connected the two and went to him and asked him a legitimate question about this. But also, Donald Trump is not doing himself any favors by signing this $900 billion spending bill and giving gender studies to Pakistan and speedboats to Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, everyone else here is having a hard time just...
What kind of speedboats?
Fast ones. That go boom.
I don't know, man. They need speedboats.
Why does Sri Lanka need speedboats? I mean,
why does Pakistan need gender programs?
Yes.
I understand $10 million is not the biggest thing in this bill, but I'd rather we just gave $10 million to a random American. Like, here you go. Just here's the money. Have a nice day. But you can really see it, man. So here's what I want to say. I think I did a segment on this earlier today. I think the Republicans are probably on track to win in Georgia. So I'm flipping from my earlier stance. I said before I thought the Democrats were going to win because Donald Trump's not on the ticket. But with the polls that have been coming out, and there's a bunch, they show that it's a neck and neck race, and the polls were all off, underestimating Republicans. So it looks like it's going to be, and I'm just saying based off of that metric, the Republicans are probably actually going to win in Georgia. And a lot of people thought so. But I do think it's fair to point out, people in Georgia who support Trump have a road trip to make that day. On January 5th, instead of going and voting, they got to pack up the car and head to D.C. because January 6th is the big support the president day. So I'll tell you, if you ask a lot of these Trump supporters who might actually go out and vote because Trump's going to rally there and he asks them to, they might still, say thank you for coming, Trump, and thanks for the rally. But if I have to choose between voting for these people or supporting you in D.C., I'm going to D.C.
Do they have mail-in voting or
They do
early
have,
voting?
They do have mail-in and early voting, but Republicans don't do that. So maybe the answer is Republicans need to go and, vote by mail or vote early now. That way they can make it to D.C. and, support both. But I was saying, but what I was saying before is Republicans don't care about. I'm sorry, Trump supporters don't care about their
legacy.
These politicians.
That right there, and definitely when we talk about legacy, and this is why I don't understand. I know Luke, you kind of mentioned it about Trump not doing himself any favors, and this is why I'd been saying on TV and everything, like, dude, even if you're going to hold the L, why not go out guns a-blazing, right? Why not go out guns a-blazing? We talked about the pardons and all of that. Like, why
figuratively.
not? Right. Yes. Like set it on figure. Like, let loose.
Figuratively.
Like
in a video game.
Yeah.
Like a video game.
Like, let loose though. Like, why not? And he doesn't do himself any favors. And I don't know if even Trump understands his own supporters, because they don't care about that stuff. They don't care about legacy. They don't care about, being prissy or doing things the way that they've always been done. That's not any. The fact that they were attracted to them is indicative in that is that they don't care about that stuff. So I don't even understand like what he's doing on his way out. Like, why he's not like, all right, man, I'm putting everything on the table. Why not?
He needs to see it. He needs to see it. So I was thinking about this. Trump's sitting in, is Trump willing to go that, insane mile, martial law, insurrection act or whatever? Is he willing to go that far? And I'm like, if he sees tweets, he's probably like, okay. But if he sees Republicans turning on him, then he's probably like, how much support do I really have?
Yeah.
If on January 6th, 10 million people really do show up, Trump's going to be like, release the hounds.
Yeah,
he's gonna open the gate and just be like, we're doing it.
But another factor is he's disenfranchising a lot of his base that was there because of the promises that he made. He promised to cut spending. He promised to get us out of wars. He promised us all of these wonderful, amazing things. He has an opportunity to put pen to paper and to make them happen, and he's not doing it. He called this bill a disgrace. He said this bill, quote, is a disgrace, demanding it to be changed immediately. And then what happened? Signed it right away. And again,
but listen, we had super majorities approving it.
Was that the case in this particular instance?
Yes. Only 56 people in the House voted against it, and I think only 8 people in the Senate. That overrides a veto. So Trump, look, the reality is not that Trump said, haha, I'm going to say something and then just give in. No, Trump was defeated. That's it. He can say what he wants to say, but if he doesn't have the power because the Senate and the House
then stop playing the game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why not remain principled, though?
Exactly.
In that aspect, if you're going to lose anyway, what do you have to gain?
Don't sign it.
Exactly.
Don't put your name on it.
Exactly. You might as well go out like that. Look, I tried. Like, this was a disgrace. It has all of this, and that in it. Like, why not go out like that?
He did get he redlined, right?
But you're giving up any leverage you have by signing it.
No. Listen, if Trump didn't sign it, veto-proof majority, it would have been passed through. So Trump, I guess, to save face, was like, here's the red line.
What face is he saving? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right?
Who's the face? It's an ugly face.
The idea is, and stop making me defend the guy. The idea is, he's going to be like, I approved this stimulus for the American people. I wouldn't leave him hanging. And I object to these things that everyone else hates too. If he didn't sign it, then... Look, I'm not saying he made the right move. I'm saying that's
I get it.
That's the idea that people are saying. Right.
No,
that's why he did it.
I get that 100%, but
it's look. You don't need to. I don't think you need to rag on Trump for this one as though it's a failure on his part. He lost. Like whether he should have signed it or did.
But that's
not
what makes
it
worse.
He
to
lost.
Me. That's what makes it worse to me. It's like you took an L, but you didn't take an L like with principle. It's one thing for me if you get punched. Like if you go into a fist fight, like a man. I don't care if it's against whoever, Conor McGregor, and you're gonna hold an L regardless. Look, you went out there and you threw your hands. You gave it your best shot. But you're talking all this noise about what's in this bill, what's and it's calling it a disgrace, and then to support it, like I don't know whose face that he's saving it for, because it's not like the leftists are gonna like him for doing that or anything like that.
And he's telling us, but he's telling us pretty nothings. Like we're gonna redline this. We're gonna give you the $2,000.
No. Listen.
I mean, he's telling us bull crap.
Here's what I'm
he
trying.
Can just be honest with us, and the Democrats are slapping him down, saying, "No, you're not gonna get what you want."
Here's what I'm saying. I'll tell you my thoughts on this. Signing it and redlining was the worst thing he could have done for one reason. He basically said, I'm mad about this, and I have absolutely no power. And the only thing I can and I'm willing to do is beg the Democrats to at least do me a favor.
And they didn't.
That's the position he put himself in.
It's the same move like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that came out and said, it's a 5,000-page bill. I couldn't read it. Yes, I'm going to vote for it. What are you doing?
In Trump's defense, he's the guy that said it should be $2,000 to people, not $600.
And that's why they
crashed the economy quicker.
And then they came out. Let's
Great.
crash it quicker. And
well,
then
hold on.
AOC said, yeah, I agree with Trump. And then now I see they put an amendment to make it $2,000 now. So that was because
they
of
did
Trump.
pass it. Yeah. So the House did pass the $2,000 checks bill. Dozens of Republicans have got behind Donald Trump. So a lot of people think Mitch McConnell is going to say no, and it's not going to happen. But they're basically telling Trump now they approved this because this is what's really, really amazing about this bill. Not only did Trump come out and complain about it, but he actually attacked the establishment from the left. He came from their left flank. Print more money. Give more money to the American people. Like on the verge, like Rand Paul said, why not just do $20,000? Why not just do monthly UBI and just guaranteed income? Trump came from the left. And the funny thing is, a lot of these things that were in the omnibus were things he was requesting and negotiating for. So Trump has been, it's really funny. Michael Tracy has this really great tweet. He's a journalist. I don't know if you guys probably know who he is. And he said, constant investigations, a bunk impeachment, all of this stuff. And they're still half the country convinced we narrowly avoided a fascistic dictator. Like Trump was ever that. And I keep telling people, Trump tried really, really hard to get things done and couldn't. He hired bad people. A lot of people he hired turned on him. Like the easiest one is Bolton, obviously. And he was obstructed every step of the way. The Republicans certainly hated him the whole time and just used him to get their judges and their tax breaks. And then when Trump wanted to do things, where are they? They're not there for him. Like he's been complaining about 230. Trump supporters have been complaining about 230. Nothing's gotten done. Not one of these people. And now, Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley have complained about it a bit. So, okay, I guess. But in the end, the Republican establishment is just like a do-nothing party that just waits and go. Like, here's how I imagine Republicans. They're like sitting there watching Democrats just mess everything up. And they go, no, wait, don't. I'm fighting for you. Vote for me. And they just sit there. And then Democrats go about mucking things up and they just don't do anything about it. So now here we are. We are. I'll tell you what's really amazing about all this. This kind of spending bill happens all the time.
Yep.
Here's this really great tweet that's been going around from Rand Paul. This is from December 23rd, 2018. He said, actually, let me read the tweet before for context. He says, of course, instead of fixing waste like this and reforming government, the geniuses in Congress decided to have a fight over how much more money they were going to spend, aka borrow from China. Speaking of which, buried in the foreign aid reports last year, so that would be 2017, I discovered something. We give foreign aid to China. So government is so dumb, it is literally borrowing money from China to give it back to China while paying interest on it. Rand Paul. Bravo.
Yep.
By the way, he also just released a full list of all the incredibly dumb things that the government is spending money on. I mean, if I could just read some of them.
Well, so
I'll
just wrap my point up real quick. I kind of lost my train of thought, though. But
Rand Paul.
What I was going to say is people don't pay attention to this stuff. And this year, the Democrats tried everything in their power to get as many people politically active as possible. And then all of a sudden, when this omnibus spending package drops, normal people who regularly ignore this are now looking at it and going, wait, what? And then what Trump supporters are saying, and keep in mind, they'll defend, like the hardcore Trump supporters will defend him no matter what he does. They're saying Trump redlining this highlights it and then forces Congress to say we approve of the things the American people don't. So sure, maybe now people might be aware of it. I think that's actually what's happening. And it'll be really interesting to see it when America has been brought to its knees with an economic crisis. They're now saying China's on track to overtake America's economy in only 7 years or so, accelerating because we've been shut down and completely obliterated by this. At a time when we're at our worst and people are desperate, 12 million people facing eviction, benefits are going up in flames, and they're blaming Trump. I'm asking, why did we just give $10 million to Pakistani gender studies? A lot of people are asking that. Even people on the left are like, I don't know, man, maybe we should give that money to people in Flint who need water. We're not spending money on ourselves when we're broke.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not just that, Tim. The government is literally spending money to study if human beings will eat bugs. That's one of their initiatives. Another one.
But hold on.
Another one is to, quote, invent smart toilets. Let me keep going. Wait.
No. I gotta slow you down. You mean to tell me I could apply for a grant And they'll give me money to just make a toilet with like computers in it?
Smart toilets, yes.
Really? But what does a smart toilet do?
I haven't researched.
When I worked for Vice, they had the Vice building. They had one of those fancy Japanese toilets.
Yes.
Where it's like I got a blow dryer in it and stuff. Is that what we're talking
Less
about?
potty talk.
I don't
Let
know.
me continue with this.
All right,
with
fine.
this list released
Because that
by
sounds
Rand
pretty
Paul.
good. I mean, if I had to allocate tax dollars somewhere, I'd be like, give me a good toilet.
There
you know
was
what I mean?
$8.6 billion spent on anti-drug efforts in Afghanistan, of all places.
Isn't that where like 92% of poppy comes from?
Yes. I had, a military vets that came over, and all of them were like, yeah, we were just there guarding the opium fields for mass production for the world to have heroin. There's money going into Kenyan art classes. There's money going into Afghani and Pakistani book clubs. I got to look it up to tell you exactly. There's tens of millions of dollars going towards stopping truancy in schools in the Philippines. There's also speedboats in Sri Lanka and study on lizards and how they walk on treadmills for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
So as you are literally told you can't work, as you are literally kicked out of your apartment, as you're told to pay up in the taxes in the highest amounts as they're going to keep going up higher, remember, at least lizards are going to be going on treadmills because of your tax dollars.
Now, the eating bugs thing, how much was that? How much money went into eating bugs?
I'm going to have to look up the Rand Paul report specifically because he itemized it.
A lot of people point out things, and I'm like, there's an argument there. No, there is. Like, I don't know if the government should be spending money on it, but Pakistani gender studies is in defense. There's no defense for that. Come on.
Yeah.
But like researching what humans are willing to eat could change everything. Yeah, it could be useful.
When
I'm
you
not saying
crash
it's
the
right.
economy
I'm just
by
saying.
spending way too much money and indebting everyone,
That's a good point.
and there's hyperinflation, people are going to need to figure out how to eat bugs then.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.